Departing the body like that will tend to go away from the light, from God, from God's love. And then I hated the devil, and hated the evil, and hated because he was my partner, but a partner in a disaster. So I hated myself, hated the devil, and I realized you end up hating God too. And that's the end of it. Then you separate yourself forever from God. One thing I know for sure is this, and that is hell. But one thing I know for sure, God doesn't want a single soul to be wasted. Not even one. Not even one. He was holding me there in His mercy, in spite of me. Because all I wanted to do was to sink in my misery, to sink in my pride and anger. That's what I wanted to do. But the Lord was holding me there. It was as if a symphony was being played between my misery and His love and mercy. It was amazing. But He never let me go. He was holding me there. Against me, because I just wanted to disappear. And die forever. Disappear. So the Lord spoke to me. And I can keep you here for ages telling you all the things the Lord spoke to me. I don't have them in my memory, because this is infused in me. I don't speak out of memory. It just flows out. But I can give you this. The Lord, among the things He said, He told me about humanity. And He said, human beings, we are going through the darkest spiritual age ever. And it's going to get darker. And it's not because I came here tonight to give you a message of doom. Because that's not what I'm doing. If anything, I came here to testify to you is about the Lord's mercy, compassion, and forgiveness and love. Because that's the Lord I met, and the Lord that rescued me. A God that loves us. A God that doesn't want any one of us to be wasted. But at the same time, His justice is so amazing that you yourself is the one that is going to face yourself, and you're going to do justice to yourself on your own. God doesn't have to move a finger. And that's the worst thing that can happen to you, because we are not exactly the best judges. I came after myself in the most amazing way. So then, and the Lord is trying to save me from me. Because people today, as I travel through the church, I hear people talking about the devil did this and the devil did that and the devil, and they blame everything on the devil. And I tell you, who's the worst enemy? Yourself. We are the worst enemies. Because the devil has been already defeated by the Lord. But so who is the one that invites him in? Ourselves. We open the door. So who is the worst enemy? The one that opens the door to the enemy. You see, because you have a door to close and to lock very well. And it's locked with the blood of the Lord. But we don't use it. We just open a little bit. And He comes in. But then obviously He's an enemy. But He will not be an enemy if we don't invite Him in to be an enemy. That's the way it is, So now, the Lord is telling me that the world is growing darker and darker, spiritually. But the world has never been any brighter as today. And it's going to get brighter and more appealing. That is the problem that we have, because we live in the midst of the most amazing illusion. So the Lord says, there has never been so many good-looking people on earth as today. Because science has dedicated itself to produce physical beauty and to produce health. And people are so ignorant spiritually that they even claiming that science has made it possible for us to live longer. That's how far we have gone. The Lord says how ignorant that is. Not even 1 second can a human being produce for us extra than the time that God has given us. No one will be able to live 1 second more of the time that God gave you. Even our hairs are counted. Everything is counted. We have the days counted. Everything. The Lord says time doesn't exist. And the example is this. We can say that I was given an hour to speak to you tonight from 8 to 9. But if I ask you, could you please tell me at what time are you going to die? Would you be able to answer? You don't know. So if you don't know when it ends, would you call it time? It doesn't exist. You see, but people pretend. People, the Lord says, people are so pretentious. They dare to go to bed convinced that they're going to wake up. You see? It's true. That's how pretentious we are. And then the Lord says, if we only knew that you can be called in the middle of the night, you know, and then you're going to wake up in a place that's probably going to be the biggest surprise of your life, you know. It's not the place where I woke up. Then I'm testifying about that place, by the way. So the Lord says to me, human science has dedicated itself to produce, you know, health. We can produce health. Of course, we can live a healthy life. We can be very pretty looking, you know. People can change the nose or the hips or things like that, the breast. They can do that. They can make themselves prettier. But the Lord says there has never been so many ugly looking souls on earth as today. Yes. So, because science is dedicated and human beings looking for beauty, physical beauty. Now, we are upside down, he says. Because when we are born, two creatures are born. One creature of the flesh, this human body as we know, and a creature of the spirit, the soul. Both of them grow up. One grows up to die, as we know, this flesh, and the other one grows up to live forever in the light of God or in the darkness of Satan, forever. But the Lord says, because of the world we live in today, we are dedicated, completely concerned about feeding the creature that is going to die only. And then undernourishing the creature that is going to live forever. So the world is inhabited by undernourished souls. That's why. So a world where the souls are undernourished is a world that has no compassion, no mercy, no love, no forgiveness. Because it's all about me. It's all about self-love. It's all about me. Then a world like this is going to grow more weary. And it's going to get darker and more difficult. You see? Because people, the more they lose God, the more they gain themselves. And you know what we gain when we gain ourselves, right? We gain death. That's what we gain. Because we are mortals. And there's nothing about it. There's nothing about us that is going to stay, you know, other than our soul if we put it in the place where it belongs, in God. So the Lord says, the world we're living in today is a very difficult world, but at the same time, the greatest opportunity. There has never been a greater danger for a soul to go to hell as today. But there has never been a greater opportunity for a soul to attain sainthood in the flesh as today. Because where there is so much darkness, there is an abundance of grace and light from God. Because that is His mercy. His mercy is much larger than sin. You know that. The darkness will never be able to cope with God's mercy. Never. But we say, you know, this is the greatest opportunity. The Lord says, today we have the apostolate of the end times, you know. And He says we are at the very end, very, very end of the end times. But trust me, it's not about human time. We know, we have to learn about St. Peter when he tells us in the letter here, he says, a day for the Lord is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years like a day. So we cannot hear all these prophets saying, it's next month, it's May, and then May comes by and they come back and tell you, thanks to your prayers, it's going to be next May, next year. Yes. We can't let ourselves be fooled like that, you know. You see, the Lord says, it's about today. You know who's the one that sells you future or past? The devil is the only one. Because he doesn't want you to be here. Because if ever you're going to receive a grace from the Lord, it's going to be right now. Because you didn't receive it an hour ago, and you don't know if you're going to be here a minute later. So it's going to happen now or it's not going to happen. So when people sell you the future, it's because they don't want you to be in the present. So the Lord says, do not ponder upon the future. Because what difference does it make if we die all blown up by a bomb, or we die of cancer, or we die all in a bus? You know, this doesn't make any difference. We are all going to die. But one thing I'm going to tell you for sure, when you face the Lord's tribunal,